Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Sound should be working. I'll do a sound check here in a second. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is having a great Saturday evening. It's a little later than normal, but that's okay. So here we go. We're going to see what's going on in the crypto markets, and we're going to kind of go from there. Let me get the sound going, and we will get started. So right now, we are sitting at 24 in extreme fear. That is pretty similar to where we've been over the last few days, and for good reason. We have gone almost nowhere. So the sound looks to be looking like it's good. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, the price has done literally nothing. I've not been touching Bitcoin. There's just been nothing to really trade. And you can see we've been in the low to mid 20s for the last 30 days. Nothing to really write home about. Let me go see if Bookmap is going to cooperate tonight. It didn't cooperate with me the other day, so let's just see if it's going to work tonight. Yeah, we should have some luck with it. There we go. Now we got Bookmap running. So I'll delete this book. I'll delete that bookmark. Delete bookmark. I'll add a new one. Bookmark. Current tab. BM. Okay, so that's kind of what we got going on. Let me see where so Bookmap shows you where all of the orders are at on Bitcoin. On the right, you have the daily time frame. That's it. You can see there's not a lot of orders. It's a low order book. It's towards the end of the year. But right now, if there's any kind of liquidity, it is sitting down at $86,500. But then what I really am more concerned about would be the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, you still have a lot of liquidity down at $80,000. And then if you go to the upside, you have some at $92,000. Not as much as you have at $80,000. Usually you go down to where there's the most liquidity. That would be around the $80,000 region. And, we'll see what happens. In due time, I expect us to come down to this $80,000 region. We'll see. I would like to go up first, but, it might not happen. Maybe we go and touch 92,000 or something. But for right now, I think in the next 30 days or less, we're going to see $80,000 one more time. And that is just how it is. We'll see what happens, but that just looks like the most likely scenario. We might go up to 92,000 before it happens, but 80,000 looks like that's probably where we're going to be headed by the end of January. So that's kind of my prediction for the next 30 days. At some point, I expect us to touch 80K, which is not that far away. I mean, we're sitting at 87,000 right now. So thank you for the likes on TikTok. That's kind of what I see going on for Bitcoin, just based on Bookmap alone. Now let me go over, and we can look at Shiba Inu. I did actually I think Shiba Inu, I bet on Kalshi that Shiba Inu is going to be sideways from 0.7 to 0.75 sometime by 4 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. So I'm betting on that's going sideways. It's kind of like gambling, but at the same time, I'm doing TA. Either way, let me go over and look at Bitcoin on the daily time frame. Bitcoin on the daily time frame, as far as I'm concerned, is still bearish on the macro time frame. Hence why I just said, and Bookmap agrees with me, we are likely at some point to go down to 80,000. But this daily time frame suggests that we go even lower. So while the price of Bitcoin overall has been going sideways, our side has been going up. Anytime that happens, while you get overbought or make lower highs, while the price goes sideways. Anytime the stock or side gets overbought down here, while the price basically goes sideways, that's a bear flag, and that suggests that we're going to dump to about $57,000. So you can ask me, well, how did you get that? Well, I got it pretty simply from taking the last wick low to the last wick high, and the last wick high was also the last time it was overbought. You could even say it's even larger bear flag from the last time you were overbought was really on the daily time frame about 115. You could even suggest that it's going to take you down to that support at 50K, which would make a lot more sense than 57,000. So, guys, I'm more bearish than bullish on the macro time frame. I think in the next 30 days we see 80K, and sometime next year I think we see $50,000. That doesn't mean it has to happen right away. That could take 6 months to happen, but I'm very bearish on the macro time frame. So it just looks more likely that we are going to go down, and that's another reason why, again, I'm not touching Bitcoin. I think altcoins, if Bitcoin's going to dump, altcoins will move even further to the downside percentage-wise. So to me, this is not financial advice, but to me, I'm just kind of trading altcoins, and some altcoins are just going sideways, like Shiba Inu has been in the same price range of, for the last 7 days. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, to me, it looks like Bitcoin is going to take that tumble to the downside sometime early next year. I'm just tweaking these lines a little bit, but the bear flag still remains intact to about $50,000. So, we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, it looks most likely to me that we're going to tumble to the downside, and we can kind of go from there. But 50K, this is the bear flag symmetrical triangle. And even if you call this a symmetrical triangle, if it's symmetrical triangles break to the downside about 50% of the time, about 70% of the time. Some say 50. I think they break down more than 50%. But anyways, at the end of the day, guys, I see 50,000 coming sooner than later. Now, at the smaller time frames, you're below the 8-hour 200-day moving average. You're below the 4-hour 200-day moving average. So, in hindsight, this is not financial advice, but the trend's your friend till the end. You could enter a short with the stop loss above the 200-day smooth moving average at 95K, 94.8. And it's likely that you make some money. I mean, you could have done that from all the way up here at 113, and you'd still be in the money with your stopping at 95K. So I'm just saying, I'm giving you some ideas for a short. It looks most likely to me that we are going to take a tumble to the downside, and that is what it is. 2-hour time frame just made a lower high. That's bearish. The 1-hour time frame on Bitcoin is just on chop, but I will say that's a lower high in the 1 hour as well. So if you guys have requests for all always let me know in the comment section below, and I'll look at them. If you guys want to join the Telegram, link to join is in the description below. If you guys want to join the Discord trading group, link to join is in the description below. On the 1-hour time frame, Bitcoin just made another bear flag. That's a lower high. And just like I did on the daily time frame, you can do the same thing on the 1 hour. And now the 1-hour time frame has a bear flag down to about 85.3. If you lose the support at $86,200, it's most likely that you're going to come down anyways down to 82.4, 82.2, I should say. So I could see the low 80K range, 82K range sometime next week. If you lose 86K, I see basically $82,000 being the next stop. And that's just what I see going on for Bitcoin. We can go back over to Bookmap quickly, sure. Yeah, Bookmap has a lot more liquidity down to $80,000, at least on the weekly time frame. So by the end of January, I see 80,000, and my guess is, based on the charts, that happens within the next 2 weeks at most, 80,000 or less. So we'll kind of see what happens, but that's what I see going on for Bitcoin. Now, moving aside from Bitcoin, I see a move down on Bitcoin. Moving aside from Bitcoin, Pippin looks nice. If Bitcoin dumps, Pippin's going to dump. So I wouldn't be too concerned about Pippin. I did take a long on Atom. Again, if Bitcoin dumps, Atom is likely to dump a little bit. But that's just, it is what it is. The market looks kind of bad to me right now, so I just want you to be aware of what's going on. I did enter long on Atom, though, because you got above the 1 hour 200-day moving average. Anytime that happens, the next stop is the 2 hour. You're above that. Anytime that happens, you're going to touch the 3 hour. That's at 210. You've almost touched that. If you get above that, you're looking at the 4 hour. That's at 218. If you get above that, you're looking at the 6 hour, and so on. And currently, the 6 hour is at 238. If you look at the 8 hour, the next stop would be 250. If you get above that, I look for the 12 hour, and you can kind of get it from there. But at the end of the day, guys, I see this getting a move to the next resistance that I really do have would be about the $2.50 region. So we'll see what happens on Atom. Again, if Bitcoin dumps, then everything is going to take a tumble to the downside. I don't know where my resistance level went, but I saw a lot of liquidity sitting around this level. So at the end of the day, it looks most likely to me, if you stay above 185, you're going to get a move to 220. If you get above that, 250 is next. So that's kind of what I see going on with Atom. And that's Atom in a nutshell. The other coin that I'm not going to trade it anymore on Shiba Inu, but I did take a bet. It's a small bet, $20 or something like that. That Shiba Inu will be between the price level of 0.7 and 0.75. For the last 7 days, it's been between this level, so I see no reason why it's going to change now. The 1 hour is oversold, making a higher low, but now you look at the 4 hour time frame, making it a lower high. I just think it's going to go sideways between those two time frames for the next 18 hours anyway. Thank you for the likes on TikTok. Lose 80. I can't give you financial advice. If it loses 86,000, should you take a short? Hey man, that's up to you. I'm just saying, if you lose 86K, I don't see any support till 82.2. So do with that information as you please. You can pay for Bookmap, but I also just go over to this YouTube channel called OTL Signals, and then it's free. Now, once in a blue moon, like last live stream, it won't always be up. But I would say it's up 95% of the time, if not more. So it's free if you know where to look for it. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Crack, or whatever. Mr. Crack. We're also live on YouTube, so go check us out over on YouTube. I do appreciate it. We got, what, 3 views? Yikes, that's not good. We got 2 concurrent viewers. Which is sad to say, but it's slightly better than normal. Yeah, anyways, so that's kind of what we got going on the charts. I see Bitcoin in a bear flag, likely to go down, and that's not going to be good for altcoins, especially the Atom Long. But that's kind of where I stand. I'd be watching next for Atom to go up to the 4-hour 200, and I'll leave it at that. This is gonna be a short live stream. If you guys have a few more requests, I'll do another one. Otherwise, I'll see you guys live on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. But for right now, that's kind of everything I want to go over. We went over Bitcoin, Shiba Inu, Atom, and then Pippin very quickly, and Bookmap and everything else. Fear and Greed Index. But I don't think there's a lot of other coins that are doing phenomenal. There's Wet. Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be touching Wet, to be honest with you. Unless you were going to enter a short on Wet because you're below the 1-hour 200. I mean, to me, stop loss would have to be above 23 cents. Your take profit, I would say, would be about 17. That doesn't even seem worth the trade to me. That's a bear flag, though. It is a bear flag in the 1 hour. You're going sideways, making a lower high. So Wet does look bearish to me. So if you did want to trade, my take profit would probably be 17.8. Stop loss at 23. That's like a 1-to-1 R&R, roughly. To me, that's not really worth the risk. Unless you are targeting this lower region down here. No, to me, there's no trade to be had on this. I don't see a safe setup on Wet. I don't. Like, it looks bearish to me. That's a bear flag, but your take profit would be so close to price action versus your stop loss. I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't. That is a bear flag, though. So, like Jasmine, is there a trade to be had on Jasmine? Not exactly, in my opinion. Gold's doing very well. That's a rising wedge. That's probably going to dump at some point. Might take a few days, but that's not good. You also hit the managed move, so anytime that happens, I kind of expect at some point or another a pullback on gold. Thank you for the follow as well from you, Kent and Dookie. Yeah, I mean, rising wedges can break out parabolically, but if they break down, which happens most of the time, they break down pretty fast. So the parabolic move, measured move, is about $4,800. If you break back to the downside, I'd be looking for the 1-hour 200 to be re-hit. It may be a double bottom at 4,400. So I wouldn't long a rising wedge. It's just usually you don't win that, but if you do win, it could be a pretty quick swing up. Otherwise, I would be looking for you to come back down to at least 4,400. If you don't hold that, the next support I see below that, because you went up so fast, is probably about 4,200. Which, if you came down to $4,200 at the end of the day, that would not be that bad for gold. It really would not be that bad for gold. So that's kind of what I see going on. Someone asked me if I'm profitable. I would say that's personal, but I would also say at the same time, you can copy trade me on Blowfin and find out for yourself. I wouldn't do the copy trading if I wasn't profitable, but I mean, you can go over there and look at my stats over there as well, so feel free to do that. The last 30 days, I will say, have been kind of rough, and I have not made money the last 30 days trading, but overall, I would like to think I'm profitable, just looking at my stats, if you look at the all-time stats. So we'll kind of see what happens. I also just started the Blowfin account like 2 months ago, so there's not a ton of data over there. Anyways, that's, so Giggle, I'm also still short on Giggle, and that trade, this has been a boring trade. I entered this trade on Giggle the 22nd, and that was 5 days ago. I entered at $68. I'm literally in the red a little bit. You went up a little bit, I was in the red. You came back down, I was good. And it's just been complete chop. So my stop loss is currently $72. But it just has not been a fun trade to be in. 5 days of complete chop is just not fun. The second you think, oh, it's going to go green, I'm going to stay green, it goes right back up. And I'm keeping my stop loss above the 1 hour, 200-day smooth moving average. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't look great. I'm going to wrap up the live stream here. It's been a great one, but I do have to go back to work. I'll be back live Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time for a much longer live stream. So I am so that I have to get out of here, but I do have to skedaddle. Have a great night, everyone. The trends are fun till the end. I see more downside for Bitcoin, and I will kind of leave it at that. I will. It just looks bearish to me. I'll be back live Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time. Until then, trade safe. Always use a stop loss. And the trend's your friend until the end. Right now, the trend's to the downside on most assets. It just is. So that's kind of where I stand. I see more downside for Bitcoin, and I will leave it at that. Hopefully, I'll see you guys Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. I would appreciate it. Have a great night, everyone. And the market's going to be low liquidity, I would say, until the new year's over. It just is what it is, which means I wouldn't be taking many trades. And if I would take any trades, it's probably going to be shorts for the rest of the year. That might not always be the case, but I would say it probably will be for most of the rest of this year. Adios, guys. Alexa, stop. How do I read Bookmap? Hold on, I will tell you.